Paul, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So, Kenya, number 3 country in financial inclusion in Africa, and in 10 years, the rate of financial inclusion bounced from 26%, something like this, up to 85. What a marvelous story. Introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a context of your job and of M-Pesa.
Thank you so much, Matteo. So my name is Paul Kavavu. I'm head of M-Pesa New Business Ventures. So essentially my role is beyond the traditional mobile money, looking into new areas of expansion, how we can leverage your data to create new solutions to our customers. But I like your introduction, but it's a shock that Kenya is still number 3. I'll have expected us to be number 1. But kudos to Seychelles and South Africa who are ahead of us. And I'm sure we, in a few years' time, will be having a different story here. So the level of financial inclusion in Kenya, standing at 83% in 2019, having grown from 26% back in the year 2007, it's actually a tremendous story. But more importantly to say is, it's not that it was unexpected. It was expected because M-Pesa was founded to solve a social and an economic issue that was there in existence. And basically that was a send money issue that we had in the country. But just to give a snapshot how we see M-Pesa growth since then. We started off with the agenda of driving financial inclusion. We went to a level where we digitized payment. But now we're in a stage where we are now empowering customers by providing them with solutions that can enable them get a return through the interaction they have in M-Pesa. Anyway, as it's trying to sort out, I could just give you the journey as us being on M-Pesa. So we invented back in the year 2007. I would want to labor on the send money the peer-to-peer transaction that is happening, and customers being able to deposit and withdraw money from the agents. But I'll say we are going to a level where we are no longer looking at ourselves as a mobile money solution provider. We are looking at ourselves as more of a financial service giant. And for us, the future will only stop when we become the WeChat of Africa. Where are we at this stage? We're at a stage where we are leveraging on customer data to create solutions. We started off the journey of getting into the wider financial service space back in the year 2012, when we introduced the micro savings and credit product for our customers in partnership with one of the banks. And interesting statistics you will hear is that the commercial bank of Africa that we partnered with was actually a corporate bank, but today is a leading bank in terms of the retail banking, having a tune of more than 26 million retail accounts in less than 8 years. Then we proceeded to partner with another bank called Kenya Commercial Bank of Africa. In a few years' time, they already have 12 million mobile-centric bank accounts. But the journey did not stop. I think our customers keep on challenging us. They told us the micro-saving and credit product that you're offering today is make it easier for us. And you may have read this, early this year, we introduced the first overdraft facility on mobile. Critical KPI I want to talk about, the first overdraft facility was issued in the year 1728, if you may be aware, but that was by a banking institution. But I'm proud here to say that the first overdraft facility on a mobile was introduced in January 2019 in Africa, and that is in Kenya. Let me give you a perspective. Between January and March.
I'm back, huh? You don't need to keep talking. I just want to warn you.
Oh, you have been sorted out.
Exactly.
Okay,
so,
okay, fine. Okay.
But anyway, you're doing it great by yourself. I just wanted to stress the fact that M-Pesa is now an ecosystem player, right? So it started as a payment platform, and when we were preparing the panel earlier, you said that M-Pesa has become or wants to become a payment lifestyle company. And I actually loved the comparison, and I said immediately, oh, you know, it's a little bit like WeChat, right? So it's a one-stop shop that started as a payment company, and then all of a sudden, you know, expanded the footprint in many other services. Is that the name of the game?
Of course, that's a journey that we are walking into. Just to give you a perspective, and why we see M-Pesa being a payment lifestyle. Today, we have a network of 120,000 merchants. We have a network of over 20,000 billers in Kenya. Our volumes are 4 times what the bank card business is able to transmit within the ecosystem. We see M-Pesa at every touch point on what customers do today. And to your point here is, yes, we are going to follow the journey of the WeChat and the Alipay of this world. And for us, in a few years' time, we see has been the Alipay of the WeChat of Africa.
So what, and of course, you know, you just talked about how the micro-lending and micro-saving services in partnership with other financial institutions have been growing tremendously. Like, so what is and you talked about the overdraft service. So what is, in your opinion, the next low-hanging fruit that M-Pesa can grasp as a new service?
Okay, we have done well in terms of lending, and I think we are now moving to the next phase. But I think lending is big. Before I talk about what is the next for M-Pesa, I want to point out here is, as much as we are talking about disbursing over $6 million on a daily basis to our customers, there's still an opportunity to grow that area. But more importantly is to say that I've said we are going to the phase of empowering customers. Now the next phase is digitizing and distributing insurance, digitizing and distributing wealth management options for our customers, and more importantly is to empowering our customers to do anything they want, and we want to be the one-stop shop for any payment that is happening in Kenya. But beyond that, I mean, we are not limited to being in the Kenya jurisdiction. We are also ambitious enough to see how we can get out of the Kenyan market and tap into the cross-border opportunity that we see today.
So, I don't know if you mentioned already the speed of the adoption in which the service has been taken. You know, you mentioned that, you know, how many millions of customers are using the micro savings services in the two implementations that you have done?
26 million.
26 million. 26 million customers are actually using your. 26 million is the number of M-Pesa clients, right? But out of which, how many are using the services, the micro savings and micro lendings? How many?
23 million.
23 millions. So let me get it straight. So we have a platform that has almost like a 96 or 97% of the existing customers leveraging the platform to use other services, right?
Correct.
So, Paul, the panel is about financial inclusion, okay? And let me ask you a very straightforward question. Why or how can we make more M-Pesa in other emerging markets, and what are the ecosystem settings that are required? And then we'll talk a little bit about Egypt as well.
That's a very good question, and I want to answer it in two phases. Is it M-Pesa wanting to offer the service in emerging markets? Yes, it's an opportunity. Question is, will it be a platform approach or be an OTT play? But let me just step back and assume each country can be able to run and build their own ecosystem. I see 4 fundamental aspects into creating a self-sustaining ecosystem, and I'll talk about them. So the first aspect I see is around political, and political, that I mean the regulatory environment. The second bit that I see is economic situation at that point. and the social status of the people in that country. But more importantly, not forgetting about the existence of a platform that can enable that service. So in broad aspect, those are some of the things that has to work together for a self-enabling financial ecosystem to be in place. But again, you need to get granular a bit and realize that could be there. But then as a player, you need to create or have some assets that are in existence in terms of having the customer base, having the distribution right, being able to continuously innovate and provide a range of products to your customers, getting and fixing the cost of transaction issue, and also continue to connect and remain relevant to your customers. One of the fundamental existence of M-Pesa is transform lives. We normally say revenue comes after reputation and meeting the needs of our customers.
So another aspect which is extremely important, and it is actually a great opportunity for the Egyptian ecosystem as well, is that in Kenya, there is full interoperability between the different wallets, right? Which is a situation that is allowed here as well. And what you said is super interesting, that interoperability in Kenya worked not as well because we were so much ahead of the rest of the market that the balance wasn't right. Whilst here, where there is no real leader just yet, the market is more balanced, interoperability could bring a great upside in terms of financial inclusion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, interoperability is critical. And just as a discussion you had, let me just give a background. I think we have been interoperable with the banking organization or institutions for the last 7 years. We became interoperable with the other MNOs start of last year. But are the benefits of interoperability coming through? I'll say no. Because M-Pesa is too much ahead of the other players in the sense that the richness of the M-Pesa SIM card is not comparable to the other players. So as much as we are interoperable, we actually see a reverse of the gains, where we are seeing more value coming through to M-Pesa as opposed to going to the other ecosystem. So I think interoperability happened in Kenya at the wrong time, for a lack of a good word. But borrowing experience in Tanzania, will appreciate if there is an even market share across MNOs, then you'll see the benefit of interoperability coming through. But if you wait until you have a solid leader who has a rich and robust service offering to his customers, then you might not experience the benefits of interoperability. And the discussion I had with you, it seems MNOs in Egypt, we don't have a classic or a leader in the market per se. This could be the right opportunity for you to introduce interoperability if you realize the benefits of financial inclusion driven by interoperability.
So strictly connected, with a wider adoption, there is something which is very interesting about M-Pesa, and is the way you actually make money, okay? And we started by making money charging our customer, and now we are switching or trying to switch into making money empowering them. I thought that was extremely powerful because connected to the richness of the data that you guys are collecting through the different users, I think that you're actually making a very good case in differentiating the way you monetize the service. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, maybe at this point I'll make an admission that we didn't get it right when we roll out M-Pesa as a mobile money service. Unfortunately, we loaded all the transaction costs on customers, even where we had enterprise payments, where the enterprise could carry the cost. And that model has worked for us because the other players were not quick enough in terms of entry into the market. But it's coming to bite us because now customers have, there's a narrative that M-Pesa is very expensive. And for us to reverse that narrative, it will not be to reduce transaction costs. It will be now to empower and give customers an opportunity to make money off our interaction. So I'm just looking at a way of creating a profit and loss account for the customer to be able to see there's a cost in here, but also there's some revenue coming here by interacting with M-Pesa. And that is how we see we will be able to reverse the narrative, as opposed to say we want to reduce the transaction costs. Because at the end of the day, we have a shareholder value to protect.
M-Pesa grew exponentially in a phase where at the beginning there were very little regulation, in Kenya over mobile services, right? And then, of course, the scene changed, but at the same time, it was almost unstoppable already, right? So, could you share with us a little bit more the story on how the relationship between the absence of regulation at the beginning and the consequent exponential take-up, and how the relationship changed and how the regulation became as well an enabler, right, for maintaining this big penetration and digitization of the payments market?
I started by saying the invention of M-Pesa was to address a societal economic issue then. And the regulator then really appreciated what we were trying to do then. Because of an non-existence of a regulation then, they gave us a letter of no objection. The only thing we got from the Central Bank of Kenya then was the minimum AML and KYC requirements that you have to abide with. So we stayed for more than 5 years of no existence of a regulation, but with the guidance of the regulator on the very many things we were doing then. But I say, an organization, we took advantage of that gap. And by the time regulation kicked in, we were already at 13 million customers. So we were at a level where...
Repeat, how many clients?
13 million customers.
13 million clients.
Yes. So we are at a level where customers had already adopted the service, and there was no way the regulator could reverse. But for us to just to be able to work with us, just ensure we are in line with the then passed regulations, and just ensure we're able to take care. The most important thing for the regulator then is the customer money secure in your wallet. And we have demonstrated that through the technology that we invested in and the model that we had there, because M-Pesa is not tied to a bank wallet or a bank account. M-Pesa operates what we call under trust deed. It's a model that we call telco-led. So you will have an M-Pesa wallet, but it does not necessarily have to have a bank account. So the money is pulled together and put in under a trust account. So you don't really need to have a bank account to have M-Pesa. Unlike in some jurisdiction where you must have a bank account to have a mobile wallet. And that really worked for us.
So I am looking at the crowd to see if there are any questions to Paul. I think it's an unmissable opportunity to find out more about what is called is a case study, a worldwide case study in financial inclusion, in the financial inclusion space. So are there any questions? Because I will keep asking more if not. Okay, so carrying on, we were talking about data, okay, and how the depth in the analysis of the data helped you not only profiling better your clients and being able to decide how to propose the services, but it also gave you an inspiration to actually broaden, right, the number of services that M-Pesa proposed. So, and of course, you obviously started with micro lending because it's the most needed, service and the easier one to implement through data. But what is coming? What else is coming?
So I think there are various. We are a bit far in terms of what I call identity as a service. I mean, yeah, you're very right, you said we started off with the micro saving and micro credit. So which were the customer attributes then that we were monetizing? For opening of a bank account, like I talked about the partnership we have with the Commercial Bank of Africa. By monetizing KYC, the customer identity, we eliminated the need for paperwork for you to have a bank account. That was step number one. But again, obviously, the banks are mandated and have a responsibility on KYC. So they normally do a second level KYC check to ensure compliance and that. So the customer, out of the comfort of their phone, they're able to open a bank account. And it takes less than a second to get your account up and running. So that was the start. Then because of the richness of the data we have around customers through, in terms of location, transactions, and the various data sets that we have, we're able to create a score, which is then used to profile and give a customer a limit. And I'm not talking about something that happened now. That is back in the year 2012. And we have progressed beyond that. One of the other attributes that we are monetizing today is the IMSI check. So for example, when a customer does, because of the growth of mobile banking, actually I did mention to you, we have 6 million mobile banking customers in Kenya. And they're all powered through M-Pesa. So there was a security concern in the sense that because of the SIM swap. Now on real-time basis, we inform the bank when a SIM swap is done on our network for their own mobile banking customer. And that essentially was to eliminate social engineering, to create cyber security and all that. So in a journey where we see opportunity to use the data that we have today, do I want to go the route of digitizing financial services? No. I think as an organization, we are saying we want to be in the mix. I don't want to digitize insurance companies. Why can't I offer insurance as an organization? With the richness and the distribution that I have, with richness in terms of customer data, why can't I offer that service myself? Why would I have to partner with an investment bank to offer this service? And we are not reinventing the wheel. Alipay, WeChat have done it. So to us, we are not reinventing the wheel. We are just saying we are now a mature country that we need now to evolve to the next level of financial service.
And actually, the fact that you're sitting on so much data and the fact that you are the ecosystem leader, clearly, you are also giving, I mean, what is the relationship between, with the startups and the third-party players who want to come and use the APIs to some of your services to actually potentially build services on the top? Because like, was it Copo, the name of?
Yeah.
So this is one example of a third party, right, who use your services to build something on top to serve the clients. How do you, what's your philosophy and how do you collaborate with third parties because you can't do everything. I mean, you could be a one-stop shop, but you cannot, with 60 people, you cannot envisage to develop everything yourself, right? So what's the strategy there?
I'll just give you a perspective. I think we power more than 90 fintechs in Kenya. 90 fintechs. Yes. And 6 of them are digital lenders. I mean, they have layered their service on top of what M-Pesa has done. So loan disbursement, loan repayment is happening through M-Pesa. And one of the key things, and as a business we are very clear, is around data protection. We have built very secure APIs that only expose relevant information to the fintechs to be able to offer services. We are very aware of the much data that we have and exposure that is likely to get ourselves into some issues with the regulator. So we have a robust, actually we have a team of more than 25 people who look at our cyber security and data protection, just to ensure we are not only adhering to what is in Kenya, but having a higher standards beyond what is expected of us in a jurisdiction.
And you know, maybe as a final comment, we keep talking about financial inclusion, right? But personally, what I like to talk more about is deepening the financial sector rather than. So the word is not anymore about or only about the unbanked, right? There are different definitions, right, of having a bank account or being financially enabled. I think that you guys could be, you know, are a very good case where the financial inclusion was the perfect sort of experimental land to start with. And I'm using the word experimental on purpose because it was unregulated at the beginning. And then regulator come in a positive way. And now you're actually leveraging your presence and your penetration to offer yourself other services, but also to enable third parties. Would be a right picture of the ecosystem that you have, that you guys have built?
You are right, and I think financial inclusion, before financial inclusion, there's something called social inclusion. If you can't get people socially included, then financial inclusion becomes a challenge. And there are three things you have to address for you to drive financial inclusion. There is the access bit. If the access to financial service is a challenge, then obviously you will not achieve financial inclusion. Cost has become a major issue, and you must continue working on how to reduce costs. And one of the things that is happening is not an internal intervention in terms of reduction of costs, but obviously the fintechs are playing a role in reducing costs because they're offering competitive products and you have no option either to match or to offer a superior product. But again, you have to continue empowering your people. When they become financially included, what next for them? If you stop the journey, that becomes the end of it. And someone else will play the role, and you create room for fintechs to come and do what you're supposed to do. So the journey is from financial inclusion, so it starts from social inclusion, financial inclusion, to digitizing financial services, and then the next level becomes empowering them.
A very last one. It is actually between a wishful thinking and your own personal opinion on this. So one thing is enabling an ecosystem that you control, right? Because you know, Kenya is a country, but the real challenge in Africa is cross-border, right? So how do you see harmonizing and building a broad, low-cost, almost basically, you know, how can we emphasizing, you know, more than one country? What's the critical factor to that? And would you agree with the fact that cross-border is actually the biggest challenge?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but still an opportunity as well. And I like bringing things to perspective. 45% of the inward remittances in Kenya terminate on M-Pesa, for which 22% of it is through direct partnerships. Today, if you have an M-Pesa wallet, you'll be able to buy goods and services from AliExpress. Very soon, we are connected to Amazon. So to me, it's more of a start, but the opportunity is massive. But I think operators within Africa, we need to work more closely. We are not competing in a different jurisdiction. How then do I enable services across each other? You may have known that recently the Vodacom acquired a huge stake on Safaricom. And with that came the acquisition of the brand. And Vodacom is in 9 markets in Africa. So that creates a huge opportunity for us to leverage on that network to start to enable cross-border among those markets. But I think that is not good enough. I know GSMA have talked about identity as a service over time, the mobile connect issue. We really need, as players in this continent, to come together and start enabling some of these things. Otherwise, if we don't do that, someone else will come from outside and eat it what you can see. So to me, it cannot be one player in terms of offering solution, but it needs to be in partnership with the existing players, but again, also the regulatory environment enabling that.
Thank you, Paul. So I think that we certainly learned and discussed the importance and the opportunities of having a good catalyst of innovation, in an ecosystem. And actually, central bank here is an excellent position to become, the point of convergence, of all the different initiatives, be it from the startups or also from the incumbents. And I salute how well you did in your country, and please join me in thanking Paul for this wonderful interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.